Activation of the quest from battle. The bellows of war echo on the breath of the rustle of the wind, cascading in the air surrounding the surface of the world. A crime has arisen beyond the call of justice by a court of deciders. The hearts and populace of man reflects a state of rage within the hearts that beat as one, with tears that stream as many, with pain that screams and never vanquishes. A conquest tasked by a sea of warriors justify their violent means to achieve their conception of a patriotic religious duty, which they commit their full soul as they strive to inflict maximum waves of shock that divide the land and burn the oceans. Be it divine prophecy, be it madness, be it from the karma of an intentional sequence of mass or personal injustice, violence has erupted and unleashed an expression of unholy massacre, of peace and breath of life, converted into blood and shattered bones of ruined lives, once sacred and innocent as God's children, on many terrains of the earth, desert lands and huddled metropolitans alike. With a surge of despair taking the form within the suffering from ancient history among nations, one group strikes while another retaliates, with arrogance and disregard for the innocents who become the ultimate victims of the invention of combat. Untethered and not afraid are those who believe they are meant to depart this plane for the path to their righteous final destination, an ascension from hell among us to heaven beyond the grasp of our bodies. For come whatever may of the outcome of the belief of the vengeful, those who remain behind and live among us endure the consequences of the violence and struggle in the aftermath of the destruction, crippling our faith in a life of purpose, just that much more as the conflicts carry out, stretching across time. Should intelligence become an asset in communication against the madmen of artillery and accessories, perhaps the tide of war would begin to take shape on a level of reasonability, a compromise where justice is served to the countries to see, from the country afflicted to the country responsible for bringing the horrors of war to the children of our future, in a setting not yet created, or in a foundation that will allow such accusations of historical shame to be heard as presiding reality, not expunged as an exaggeration to sanitize wounded parties responsible to feel no pain as they hear the recitation of crime most unavenged and ignored before the ears of the injured party and the masses who preside to embrace injustice when it happens around them by the result of frowning and inaction. What would it take to evolve the senses, the sides of determined warriors, and to quell our political leaders on both sides of the aisle, to squeeze the details into unspeakable situations that require immediate remedy, like the result of a spiritual cleansing of a species on the brink of extinction, and create a model for the generation that is to come, who will study hostility again and again as the world is created and morphed by cause and effect, the strike and the counterattack. A holy war has been started in the name of law and order of an ancient kingdom, as enduring of the times as the history of the West and its parallel Roman Empire, whose allegiance continues to extend to Rome in the halls of the Vatican, commander of the word and mission of God. And we beings are to comprehend where we will arrive on the shores of a new civilization, pulled from the rubble of the wreckage of the havoc left behind by metal and fire, incepted from the survivors, the population of legacy children who have survived the culling of their impoverished or well-off family, who gather crammed but humbly as they place their faith in their God to continue a blessed life. A new empire is born out of survival and rebellion, ash and chill, sea and land. An empire's challenge that which is small as the face of that which is to be made an example of, for disobedience to the ultimate authority, the one who deems himself ultimately righteous, for a path that leads to answers of a shocking nature, one that is never wrong, is never wavering from his truth, but one that violates the culture of others to achieve their way of expression in the eyes of their victorious conclusion. To America, the great Satan is not the title for themselves. It is a title to prove that they have been branded the reputation of the predator it slays to protect mankind from. It wears it like a badge of honor, an ode of Odyssey to the power of Beowulf. From the land of the promised people come the defense of their God and King, their Lord and Savior, the Christ power from the land of Jerusalem. In their name all holy blood must be protected, all strength must prevail to exist with the shield of an iron dome, to safeguard the survivors of a generational holocaust, whose torture that was sustained rings as scars for every generation to follow from the madness of the Nazi Empire. Revisiting the promised lands that Moses brought from a liberation in Egypt, the survivors of the Third Reich's eugenic torture program arrive to the land to call it Israel, and expel the land of Palestine and confine it to the square cubic meters of half of Florida, overtaking the rights and perpetrating eviction instead of choosing the path of coexistence and peace, resulting in the speed ahead of the current situation now sprung upon humanity in the year of the decision of annihilation or creation. Now the sounds of the desert shriek a reaping of the crusaders of God from the life of the mujahideen, who are at peace when they are at war. Their prayers guides their path, and they decide who gets spiked by wrath at a moment-to-moment basis. They forgive no crime unanswered, nor accept no lie unpunished, and will commit to their attacks with the certainty that in their defense they only serve the purpose to punish the uncommitted to the faith of the religion that binds them together, the path of Mohammed's precious Quran. Peaceful men of the sand that share food together and respect the traditions of family always. Men of proud, rich life, hardened by the wounds of inferior pests who hurt their flesh like disease due to the nature of their upbringing. Should the world seek a solution to several rebellions cascading as the four horsemen of the apocalypse, one simply should see the truth within yourselves while you are all equal. The motivation that binds you to stick to your righteous cause and express yourself into the world with a planet of your authority, living in peace and coexistence in your difference with all around you. Consider who you are and why you shake with pain, the darkness that pulls at your soul from the canvas of your heart. Embrace the way of the Lisan al-Gaib. Exist in paradise or perish in soil. Unite to maintain the resolve you've survived the last generation with as we venture towards a free decision about our fates, as a nation and as a race, as a people and in our creed, within our souls we set you toward destiny. Long live the fighters who speak from the world beyond, where our present has shaped a horrific future due to an unresolved past buried in ancient history. As this cycle continues, everything old is new again. Since heaven and earth became heaven and hell, since hell became on earth, and as it is accused that hell is on earth, that the kingdom of the devil has terraformed into oneness with our conscious plane. In the name of the All-Father Odin, who protects the nine realms with his wisdom and his methods of war, we follow in your intelligence from the tree of life and purpose a path toward the right direction for the fate of our people. Only you can guide us through Ragnarok with a crossing journey of protection. We will await your command to protect all life from the bloodshed to come, should we fall victim to harsh decisions that reject human life. Should the gods of Egypt and the heroes of the Greeks not unite in steadfast belief in the immortality of the powers they can conjure, the fate of the race of guided man would behold a grim ending for their tired journey in ancient history. When man lost faith in the gods, the world descended to the misery that cascade down our necks like the rays of 100-degree sunlight. In reverence of the sacred preservation of the foundation that keeps us alive, we freely make our decisions and choose our sides as the outcomes dictate our instinctual decisions for us. Embark in many moments the road that leads to the only outcome that will manifest when you arrive at the point of activation. There is no easy action to be taken once reality from all ends introduce the conclusion and pattern for the event that triggers the force of violence to manifest beyond intention. With sincere will and with driven concentration amplified by the men who live in connection with nature in the kingdom of the ways of old, once multiplied by the landmass of many nations, only with enlightened consciousness can we shift the tides of war toward our favor and thrust nonviolent disobedience toward the master who demands our compliance and create a movement that can heal the population from the mind control of violence and disorder and restore personal and historical independence from the construct that governs all life in this reality. Grasp the essence of my calling and heed the success should ye pursue the weapon that wins the unwinnable. Know that all of the just who follow the path of the extreme do not reap the rewards of the martyrdom they seek to make so proud. Chaos begets the existence of darkness and amplifies all that you most fear, and destroy you the proud with your violence, with your assertion of your pain. The most holy of holy have exposed the darkness and witnessed the long change take effect long after the reflections of the horrors documented in their action you seek to hold accountable hold the moment in the now. There has never been a life more conscious, more sacred, more important than the one you live right now. All else become history or legacy, but this life that you witness in the present, that is the life most blessed to consider. Life does not vanquish itself into the waters of difficulty. It continues continues and endures to blossom into the greatness of achievement, the substance of what you fight so hard to protect, survival. Inside the shell of preservation, the sand of renewal cycles itself within and out from the tabernacle of the aquatic conch, shifting with the ocean in its twisting tides, resonating the command of its inner peace as it rests between water and grain, in balance with steadfast resolve. For the men who feel unchallenged with the level of their violence and psychological justification, remember that hell hath no fury greater than the judgment of God, no mercy greater than that of the highest order, the commander of life and the captain of death, locked in a limbo of equal energy throughout the imbalanced planet which hosts life as we know it in our solar system. Oh, how large our egos preach, our achievements echo, for we have been chosen to represent referenceable life in the planets around our sun. Only our planet has been specially selected to guide the Master's path forward. And here is how we repay the Creator and all intelligent life who seek to find us. A species of life form who spend every bulk majority of years perpetrating violence and disorder in the name of concepts important to the killer. War converts the worthy into sinners, the people into beggars, the rich men into tyrants. For what life is there to live or conceive when men of each structure of society become the hollow and most simple version of himself, and deceive generosity with sedition, and promote treason in the face of the nation? Where is the worthy, the tolerant, the comprehensive, to lead us to the righteous senses and guide us away from the destruction of structured life and into a restructured state where men and women of all histories converge and share time together in discovery and in fulfillment? It is from the eyes of the one who seeks to eliminate the virus of uncontainable darkness from the land of the living that it has been grasped to such ventured plains what path must be taken to restore the spirit of honor in our brethren and answer the call of duty to emerge victorious over the temptation of the deceiver. Join me as we extend our mission and vision against the war upon us, entering into the era where the disruptors are silenced in the shadows of our streets at the discretion of our chosen focus, and create the foundation for a better tomorrow today. Redirect your legacy for what you have prepared for, and correct the outcome we are writing as you right today's wrongs tomorrow. Prepare the research, and the subject of your agony will fail and comply, for intelligence attaches itself to the millions of dollars waiting for the conduit brave enough to endure its classified existence. Therefore, never question the power of accepting a higher path in the face of the mindless path that chaos sows. I sit by candlelight, my eye catching the fire of the flame, staring into the wisdom of the beyond, conceiving all truth as it exists in time, emerging into the ultimate sensation of reality. I control all that stands between the activation of my purpose and my ascension to the liberation of humanity's great battle with the force of evil incarnate and severe. I conjure the nature that is commanded from my soul toward the direction of all in my path who do not belong. For the curse I unleash upon them, incepts for the final sentence in response to their crimes against the innocent among us all, young and old, frail and strong. To every life preserved, for every child saved, for every mother protection, for every son to see the dawn before his growth, for every daughter who lives as a princess either in the captivity behind enemy lines or in the confines of the mansions of the powerful and privileged, for every father who develops new legacy for his inspiration, for every brother who fights to protect his own and the ones who he discovers to fight for every sister who bring the hearts of survivors, who supply the food and ammunition for the brothers and the uncles and the grandfathers to return with their empty rifles and bloody knives, returning in dignity and honor for their service to the war. Liberation in the vision of the Enlightenment toward the attainment of the only attainable outcome, the answer which you know, the secret bomb that wins the war and violently detonates the shape of the medicinal fungus found in nature all around us, dominant Azoras and the descent of molten mushroom destruction, hideous shapes that must never resurface the atmosphere again for any reason, lest we desire our own doom in our shame of how far we've come away from the ancestral relations with our roots of our families across generations of all continents, connected by the waters blessed by Mother Gaia. For all those who witness legacy, conceive I transmit this seance as I know best, because you are worthy of turning the tide of war to victory against the dominant force of darkness, because the alignment is upon us. The eclipse of solar power has passed, and we race toward the destination we decide. As we return power toward our limbs, we forge a path ahead toward the planting of the flag into the ground, claiming our liberty in our flesh and blood and bones. As the equal measures remain unbroken in their lines, the hexagram of creative heaven dictates the command of action as we gallop toward a sunset of adventure and uncertainty, and arrive in the reality which will be accurate and appropriate of whatever outcome we experience. So come, men of battle, sons of blood, children of iron, and soldiers of war, march with all that you can muster at your disposal. Make every shot count and blessed. Logic and out-of-the-convention strategies achieve record-setting success. Do not confuse a battleground for a blood sacrifice, for every death that comes from murder is cursed and tainted by the betrayal of the rules of engagement in combat between men and brutes. As all wizards of ancient knowledge weave in and out of the ruins of the earth toward the zone of death, the mind surges to stream consciousness into immediate connection to preserve the remaining sacred practices we continue in private and ensure it can be shared with the incoming generation beyond the years through all minds at once. Should danger lurk beyond what I see before my eyes, in moments future and vast but consistent and dominant, then my shock will settle to horror as it means a failure not yet grasped but is destined to happen, an ending that cannot become a waking reality. But I think not. I think this outcome shall not be, perhaps by decisions from all sides of reflection, determining life is more valuable than death. Death is permanent. It leaves a marker on the spirit that's tracked and sets a standard that is met with an unwanted charter toward hell. Life, however, the nature of survival and the art of coexistence with the yin of your yang, can be achieved if we clear our heads of the Maya that seeks to distract our concentration from achieving divine ordinance with our cultures that define us. Sacred teachings and ancient languages that resonate power and frequency with vibration from the gods. Spurs of shocking rumbles of the ground tremble the structure beneath our boots as we wait in patience for the assault to run its course, before changing location and surviving the attempt at maiming and concussive disorientation. The guidance waits for no hesitant moment as chaos tries to divide the path for the seeker. The solution of source transmits its intelligence into the heart of the seeker, even while the devastation of distraction presents obstacles to prevent a brave soldier from arriving into his destined position, which will lead to the counterattack that will turn struggles into gain in the objective of the victory in the war. As the message from my hands relay the cycles and facts toward the scroll from the Library of Alexandria, deliverance from the cloud of illusion casts upon the impacted hemisphere of conflict, with the tumultuous energy that sweeps the fields of harvest and glide between the shattered buildings of civilization, offering salvation for the survivors of merciless rounds of fire and lead. The directive has reached the remains of humanity in all forms of life remaining, in suffrage and in patriotism. Now the application is set to take place between warriors to implement before more personal lives are robbed by the crime of passionate men of anger. When the master who manipulates discovers the thinning of the compliance of control, the dark conductor of corruption thrusts his frustration toward the proxies and enablers, dispersing vulnerable assertions of aggression and leaving wide open the opportunity to grab a hold of the conduit and restrain its psychic force from conducting its mass hypnosis throughout a collective of brains. As the forces of the resistance dismantle the structure of the egregore, the restoration of the free mind of human decision begins to spread in immediate recovery throughout the planet and planes where existence has been tampered as a result of the assertion of its hive consciousness. Where anything is possible in the space where all combine and coagulate reality upon symbiosis with love and humanitarian compassion, the life where the achievements of one that benefit the lives of all can return to our normal structure of living. The transformation of our comprehension deepens as the goosebumps under your skin return to life. In a world riddled on the explosions of tempers, decades of patient endurance and solemn commitment toward the arms race built into serving no cause more growth than the genocide of families, the participants should awaken toward the message from beyond the dimensions and lay down their weapons before the accident that cascades the reaper of damnation toward them carries out in front of our very eyes. With change comes enlightenment, the middle way in the path of war and peace. And with the higher understanding, transmit the comprehension to the population that as we fight and diminish our values, which cherish the time that we wait to fight in the right battle for the righteous reason bestowed against the persuasive power of evil, we relinquish our worthiness to one day carry out our task in brave and noble fashion. Because throughout the engagement of the wars of madness, we in turn, the afflicted, affected experiencer of conflict, become afflicted with the wound that corrupts the blood and vanquishes the mind of the protector, converting pure commitment to quest and shattering the will of purpose with its projection of maximum trauma. So in the stillness of natural order and ordinance with the kingdom surrounding the pure and worthy, my senses begin to relax and ease into a breath of renewal. The vast sensation of healing after conflict sparks my clarity as I determine the next step for the governance to come. A wind rises in the east, teasing my feet of times to come, and bridges to connect between nations and neighbors. The rivers run with rejuvenation, trickling down the streams over the rocks and into deeper waters, connecting paths and merging as a connected movement. From the nature to the mountains, from the beaches to the national parks, may universal knowledge protect our precious minds from the straying from truth, and forge a greater lesson to all who discover the ordinance of service in all forms of life, not just to press one's chest to combat, to respond to every complicated reality. In the passage of my journey in meditation, all superior outcomes arrive at the end of the road that comes upon you. Despite the resolution of acceptance, every encounter along the way which seeks to test your resolve in every way a warrior cannot handle but must endure, shapes and creates the unshakable resolve that you carry toward your victory and success, inspired in part by the wisdom of the enemies who have sought to challenge you and failed before your ironclad will. It is within the test of patience where courage is found, when the noise fades to the back of your mind, and all that remains is the drumbeat of your heart, pounding in a steady pace loudly in your ears, a state of pure commitment to living in your ever-present moment, more than at any point in your life, where reality can shatter life or reshape the purpose of survival by the decision of a mere second in time. This is when the mind is utterly alive, in full comprehension of time, movement, and danger all at once, where the men of brave earn their title and endure the conquest of others toward him until the strike has passed. From conflict arises no victor but the scythe of death for the Creator. The warrior who passes with conviction through the soil of no man's land shall return protected, should his faith remain intact without a fracture. Through the turmoil of creative cruelty in the forms of rapid, brutal murder, we the alive comprehend how the devil wins the consciousness of war in all boys who fight in the thick of battle. The blood of patriots, terrorists, children, and innocent life commingled in the wreckage left behind by the forces of two opposing convictions, exchanging mass attacks and trade, the seeping of the connection for why we matter, each and every one of us the same, combining an indistinguishable alignment as the heavy price for the exchange of madness, propelling itself for the oxygenation of its growing perpetuation. Justified or without merit, the same being who benefits from its expression in real painful form, cares all the same what drives forth a passion of concentration for the need to cause suffering at close proximity. Strike the source of evil in the heart where it lives. Meditate and concentrate on the center of its control, and witness when one takes away its power, how the rest of the corrupt will fall to their knees and surrender. For without the conduit of the mental weapon of excusable violence, the wicked have no force to usher out the commands of the insane. As it is known, life is precious, blood is sacred, family is forever. There are always battles and wars, scars and bloody fights. But perhaps the most important yet to attain a victorious outcome is the combat against the spirit that inspires the darkness in the ones around us, the hive that spreads and populates upon the sensations of fear and anguish. The war I wage against the center of darkness is fought across several dimensions and chases throughout revolving realities. Not a night nor a dawn has risen where a final definitive attack has achieved a lasting death for the enemy, nor has a day nor an hour gone by where the tormentor has sent a deterring obstacle that has prohibited my skill to meet my larger-than-life objective. Our dance is still of equal revolution. May the harbinger of fate serve as witness to my cause as I set to right the course of the human race, to ensure the survival and the legacy of mankind for the generations to follow, as faithful to the strands of ancient history and encodings that power its motivation for perfection. Words have conveyed the direction that my soul then takes, the knowledge that I strain to possess, the yearning to cement change to a society governed by the lawlessness of war. There is still time to shift the stages from failure to a new canvas of potential. When the extremes leave the earth in peace, the coexistence of difference can begin to assimilate to their natural reactions as we leave as neighbors, coming together to solve larger problems that hinder our relaxation in community as a nation and as a people. By the authority vested in my chalice of conviction, may the old gods that remain among us hear my cries. Let the master of the woods awaken to my midnight calling. Let the new gods who collect the small souls shoulder respect to my path which sticks toward myself as I cross the checklist of necessity box by box. I am the one who walks among you, who listens and sees all, and speaks in core from all voices, voiceless and bellowing. Judgment is not beneath you. It surrounds you, and in the now it shakes in rage. It quells not from any decision yet to be made. Move before you fall. Catch your descent before the shake. Implement the wisdom in the now for the sake of you. you and all you hold to your vows. My presence is a rare one. I regress to progress from faith to action until the universe is balanced once again, and I can rest to see my glory days are not just behind me and are my best, but they remain upon a future not so distant and not so soon. Expedience and excellence for innocence within perfection. Upon this hour, heed my call. War is before you, so make your decision. Liberate your aura of the blood of complicity, or face the consequences of validating the desecration of truth and the corrupting of morality. A journey which arrives at no destination and travels into an endless pursuit of invisible objectives. With the declaration of your quest, rise anew as a follower of the only path left to take. Honor the light within, echo the all and win. Enter the hall, and in shall you enter in. Whispers in the wind, pounds in the deep, ripples on the shore, winter falls in droves. Pontificate and levitate as you center seas and meditate. 2 lives as you regenerate, the queen of beauty in your gaze. The call is answered, the transmission has ended. The more become worthy, the more I'll be sending. But times do disrupt us, we must move forward. In God do we trust, and America we bless, as we love in the truth we express. Adieu.